And we are live. Gautam Gambhir's press conference, which lasted for 15 minutes today at Mumbai, had some very pertinent points. It was the pre-departure PC for the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. But with just Gautam Gambhir being there, that itself was the biggest talking point. Because normally for a big series, we have seen in the past, head coach and the captain of the Indian cricket team are there. But only Gautam Gambhir was available.
But that was known, right?
Yes.
That was known. It hasn't come as a surprise. Everyone knew. We were also informed that Gautam Gambhir will be addressing the press conference and not the captain. We all know why, and that is something that was reported on Sports Today as well, that Rohit Sharma is not travelling with both sets of team that has gone. It's gone in two batches. So the first batch would be about to reach Australia. The second batch will depart later today. In both batches, he's not there, which was well known. But what was not and is still not 100% known is whether Rohit Sharma will play the first test match or not. Whatever we say or anybody says at the moment will be conjecture, because Rohit or the team management themselves haven't really come out and said. Why do you think that confusion exists? We'll try and dwell on that. What is it that Gautam Gambhir said on Rohit Sharma and his availability? There was a spicy bit where they spoke about Ricky Ponting, a bit about KL Rahul, all those things that really interest you. We'll try and address it in the next 15-20 minutes. All I want to say is it's been a good start to a Monday morning. Rather, you didn't need your morning cup of tea or coffee to wake you up. You had a press conference and that did the trick. Though I mean 15 minutes, I thought it would have been a bit longer. It's such a 5 test match series, such a long series.
I was prepared that it would be a 25-30 minute press conference. Because when Rohit Sharma lost the series, at that time the press conference lasted 20 minutes. But here, I think Gambhir gave all answers in a rapid staccato form also, which kind of put most of the people who asked the questions off.
But I would have still had more questions to ask. I agree that he was fast, but you know, like the review meeting, the reports in the review meeting, what was that, you know, what are his takes on that? Those questions were addressed, and I must say that all the important questions were addressed, but I still had a few more questions. Okay, let's start with the biggest talking point, and I think there are 4 big talking points. We'll touch upon all of them. The first one, Rohit Sharma's availability. Are we to make or deduce from what Gautam Gambhir has said? Just to let you know what he said on Rohit's availability. He said, still not certain about Captain Rohit Sharma's participation in the first test. We will know closer to the first test. Hopefully Rohit will be available. What do you deduce from this? Is he going to play the first test? Is not going to play the first test? What does this quote tell you?
Now, we all expected Gambhir to give a definite stamp, that is Rohit playing or not. But he hasn't done that. Now there is only 11 days to go for the Perth test. The first batch is in transit at Singapore. They are going to reach somewhere late in the evening. The second batch will leave today. Rohit is definitely not going to be there for the match simulations that will happen at Waka. That's on 16th, 17th. Most likely, we will know closer to the first test is an indication, and hopefully Rohit will be available. I think he is not making it the first test because there is too little time. If suppose he says that, okay, the ideal scenario I feel is there is a 10-day gap from the first test to the second test. December 6th is the pink ball test match. I think he'll be available for that.
I think the reason why, I see a lot of people are asking questions, what is this? The coach doesn't know whether Rohit is not going to be available. BCCI doesn't know whether Rohit is going to be available. And in normal circumstances, that would still be a thing to raise fingers at, because it can't be like that, that you cannot, the board and the coach cannot not know about the captain's participation. But I would like you to draw your attention to the fact that this is a different sort of a scenario. It's not normal circumstances. We all know that he's expecting the birth of his second child. Now that is something that, you know, you can't put a date to. And I think that's the reason that they have not officially come out and said whether he'll be available or not. If the child was to be born before the first test is to start, Siddharth just mentioned 11 days. Even if he used to reach 2 days before the test match, maybe the coach would like him to play, maybe the captain would like to play. That is the scenario, which is why they have not definitely given an answer that we are playing or not playing. There is a possibility that the team is also getting ready to play without Rohit Sharma. There's a possibility, because if the birth of the child was to happen a little later, then he's obviously not travelling, and then you will look at other options. But I think that is the reason why they've not taken a call. Of course, you can always have, now you have multiple flights connecting India to Australia, so it's even if the 11th hour he can travel. Yes, there could be a think about match simulation or not, but then it is for you to decide whether you want to go in with a Rohit Sharma, even if he's coming at the 11th hour, or you go in with an Abhimanyu Ishwaran or a KL Rahul or whatever. And this is something that I spent time on earlier talking about. I would still want to have my captain, even though he may not have had too much practice. I would still want him to be the captain. Also because keeping the
the batting
composition series in mind, it'll set the tone. I would want him ideally, even if the last moment he can come. If he reaches 48 hours also before the test match, I would like to gamble. And I think that's where Gambhir has said hopefully, because I think Gambhir is also hoping. He can't be certain about it, but they are hoping. And the only indication that I'm looking at, which is telling me that he may not be available, is because Rohit may not have been travelling with the team, but he's in the same city as Gautam Gambhir was. Yes. He is the designated captain. He is going to be the captain when he comes, despite the fact that what others are saying, that you should continue with the same thing. Indian team is not going to change. Mr. Gavaskar said that change the captain. They're not going to. He could have come and addressed the press conference if he's not travelling. Yes. I don't know what do you make of it, but I would have, if I was BCCI, I'd say, okay, fine, you are set to miss the first test or whatever. That's okay. You're the captain. It's a norm that the captain and the coach address, and you're in the same city. You're not even travelling. Both captain and coach address it. I would have liked that, but the fact that he's not come is now kind of giving me an indication he may not be there for the first
time. I mean, rightfully you point out, because how much time does it take to just address and just say that, okay, I'm not available? Sometimes,
no, but that is something that he may not be certain now. But he could have still come to the press. It's not just about his availability, it's a strategy, what you're doing. Just those questions that Gautam answered, the captain could have been.
The captain could have been. Yeah, but strange. That is why I have a feeling that he's not playing the first test. I think the gap that is available for the first and the second test, he'll come there, get some practice for the CA 11 match that is going to happen in Canberra, ping ball test. There'll be 2 days prior to that where you'll be having a practice session in Canberra. Then on 6th and 10th, 6th to 10th is the second ping ball test. Make yourself totally available, acclimatize to that, because even if you come in the 11th hour, it is not certain he'll adjust to the conditions in Australia.
So the Indian team is also preparing in that scenario if Rohit is not available, either for the first or the second or whatever, what they're going to do. And Gautam Gambhir was asked who's going to be captain. He said Bumrah will be the captain if Rohit is not available. It still remains if he's not available. So they're pretty clear about that as well. So they've prepared themselves. So do you see any signs of then what something like Mr. Gavaskar suggested, that if he's not available for the first test, continue with whoever captains the first test, or the Indian team is only telling you about when Rohit is not there, Bumrah is captain, and then when Rohit comes back, he takes over captain?
This option. Bumrah will be there only for the first test if Rohit is not available. Making Jasprit Bumrah the captain of all the 5 tests is going to be a very dangerous and a bold call, because see, we are not certain if Bumrah will play all 5 tests, because even the likes of Simon Doull have said that the schedule is meant to cook Jasprit Bumrah. Look at it. The only gaps that you have, one is a 10-day gap from Perth to Adelaide, the other is a 7-day gap from Brisbane to Melbourne. 6 to 10, 14 to 18, 2 back-to-back tests, and then 26 to 30th, 3rd to 7th. Can Bumrah last a 5-test series? Because if India don't do well, then I think you may have to rest him, because you're not just looking at that, you're looking at Champions Trophy availability also. So I think Bumrah will be captain for just one. Rohit is coming back for the second, and he's going to be the captain for the remainder of the BGT.
Okay, what else is the Indian team preparing themselves for? Bumrah, as I said, was almost a given. What's going to happen if in terms of the opening? I think that's the other important bit, and Gautam Gambhir was asked about that as well. And this is what he said about the opening combination. He said there is Ishwaran and KL, he mentioned. We will take a call if Rohit is not available. Again, he stresses on the fact if Rohit is not available, it is not like we don't have options. We will play the best playing 11. He was pressed a bit more about details. He said, you can't ask me to, tell me,
playing
tell
11.
the playing 11 now only. I can't be telling you that. But of course, we'll go in with the best team available at the time, he had said. So Easwaran, KL. So KL now officially comes into the conversation, because as of now, we were talking about it on Sports Day, but it was still conjecture because he was opening in the India A game. So now he's officially into contention, and there is Easwaran. Again, I repeat, if Rohit is not available for the first test. He went on to talk a bit more about KL Rahul in terms of what his role is going to be, and he said, you go with experienced players, he can bat on top. Then at number 3, at number 6, you need a lot of talent to do that. How many players can do this? He can do the job for us if Rohit is not available. So this is even a more important, pertinent quote of what he's talking about KL. First, his stamp of approval. And that's one other thing that we've heard from a lot of people praising KL Rahul from within the team management, irrespective of the fact that whatever hate he gets or criticism he gets outside of the team. And Gautam is one other admirer of him, alongside many more coaches, captains that have been in the past. This is what he's telling you. And secondly, is again indicating that he can do the job if Rohit is not available. What do you have to make about the opening combo, having heard of what he said about Easwaran and KL?
Stamp of approval, I think we can say with entire certainty, KL is opening with Yashasvi Jaiswal in Perth. If Rohit is not available. If Rohit is not. Because see, Easwaran had 4 chances in the Australia A game. He didn't capitalize on any. It was only the likes of Sai Sudarshan, Dhruv Jurel, Devdutt Padikkal who did very well.
But the way KL also got dismissed.
Yeah, it's not put
both innings that he got didn't do anything.
Exactly.
So it's choosing between a rock and a hard place.
You're going with a rock. Because he's been hit so many times. I mean, he's coming back to the very same spot where he was first dropped, and credentials on his opening were really raised. You would remember the 2018-19 series. He failed at Optus. He fell to Stark, and then after that he was dropped. Then you had Mayank Agarwal and Hanuma Vihari opening the batting. So 6 years later, the script is repeating all over again for KL Rahul. He's been thrown into the deep end, not high on confidence after the embarrassing dismissal to Rochiccioli in Melbourne. Now he has to face Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark, maybe a Boland and Lyon at Perth, at Optus, where it can get very intimidating. But India have gone with the past. Gambhir in particular has gone with the past. KL will open if Rohit is not there.
Interesting to note that because there was a lot of other options being floated around, how about you push Gale, get Jurel in the middle order and so on and so forth, even though Gambhir did not exactly dwell into the 11, and he mentioned when too many questions were asked, he said, I can't tell you the 11. But it does seem like that they're not looking at these left field options right now. They're not looking at getting Gill to move and all of that. So it primarily boils down to Easwaran and KL Rahul, and I think I'm in agreement with Siddharth. Reading between the lines, it does seem to suggest that if push comes to shove and Rohit is not available, then there is a likelihood of KL Rahul being pushed ahead of Easwaran to start. Again, as I said, this is not the time for us to, we're not doing a dugout where we're debating whether that's right or wrong. That's a different analysis. Right now, just trying to understand what the team is saying and what their mindset is. So right now, it seems like the team's mindset is KL above Easwaran. But if you ask my personal opinion, looking at the way the two have been performing and the mental state that they've been, I would pray to God that same thing. Maybe that's why Gambhir was also harping on the fact, hopefully Rohit will be available, hopefully he'll be there, hopefully he'll do that. I know he's not been in great form, but over KL, Easwaran, I'm going with Rohit any day. Absolutely. And as I mentioned, even if he can come last moment at the 11th hour, I would still want to have Rohit Sharma open.
I mean, see, amongst all the batters, Nikhil, you would have also seen how many batters have made this adjustment of moving up a position. I mean, just 2 tests ago, we saw Virat getting pushed to number 3 because of an injury. That happened with Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill has not opened the batting ever since the WTC final. When he gave that position off to Yashasvi Jaiswal, I will bat at number 3. The only guy who's been shuffled up and down in the last 2 years, I'm saying, but who's had decent success in doing that, not earth-shattering success, is KL Rahul. Put him at 4, put him at 6. I mean, yes, people will say that, oh, he got out for 0 and 12 in Bengaluru on a true wicket. But then prior to that, he hit a 68 and a different position. How many batters in this current Indian setup are comfortable to adjust. Kohli was not comfortable at number 3. So I think you may have to go with your backup that okay, KL is a yes man. He will bat in any position that we tell him to. So we are going with KL Rahul. That's where I think the confidence is stemming from, that Gambhir made this statement. Otherwise he could have said, okay, Abhimanyu Ishwaran's gotten a lot of chances in the India A setup. Why not try him? So that is why.
Okay, the other juicy bit that happened in the press conference. He was asked the question that Ricky Ponting has said about, the lack of form of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and in typical Gautam Gambhir style, Gauti hit back saying, what does Ponting have to do with Indian cricket? There are more concerns in the Australian cricket team. Virat and Rohit have achieved a lot. They're working hard and are passionate. This answer did not surprise me one bit because Gautam, as you know, is a fiery character. Always comes out all guns blazing, and this is what he said about Ricky Ponting. Of course, there are. I mean, in the short time that this quote is out, was reading a few comments on social media where people are pointing out that Gautam Gambhir is making Ponting sound like Shane Lee or someone.
Shane Lee.
Just to quote an example, not a great player as such. But what, was he a great player?
Shane Lee, no.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I gave that comparison, that people are saying that suddenly the way you've snubbed Ponting, it seems like you were talking about just an also ran. But here is Ponting, who has a stature, who is one of the greats of the game, and you've snubbed him like that.
I mean, as you said, is it surprising Gautam Gambhir said that? No. I mean, the comments, if you look at Ricky Ponting, what he said were actually not wrong. Virat and Rohit have struggled for the last 3 to 4 years. I mean, barring Virat, who had that one great year, but Rohit, as you pointed out, if he has a great white ball season, his red ball form tapers. That's nothing wrong in it. And the prediction, he said 3-1. I only remember one thing of Ricky Ponting. He said the series could go 3-1. The most conservative estimate among all Australians was given by Ricky Ponting. Others are saying, 4-0 final, typical Glenn McGrath style.
But it's not, I still feel that the Australian opinion is still a bit more biased, including Ricky Ponting. I think 3-1 is quite a bold call for anyone to take. It's not that Australia cruising right now, just lost an ODI series to Pakistan.
After
I know different
years.
Format. Yeah. Plus India are the 4 times defending champion of the BGT, 4 times in a row. So, for anyone to just pick the other team as absolute runaway winners, I think is exaggerated, and I think Ricky Ponting also in that sense is exaggerated. I don't mind what Gautam has said, and this is something that I agree with, that fine, he's a cricketer, he has all the opinion and whatever, but this I'm going back to something that Mr. Gavaskar said very recently in a commentary, where he said that we continue to ask Australian cricketers, what should this player be doing, what should that be doing, he said, this is an Indian team and we look after the Indian team, and why should the opinion of an Australian player be so important? And while I agree everyone's a cricketer entitled to opinion, especially I think the opinion should be taken with a pinch of salt when you think the opinion is a bit biased, a bit colored. If it was very objective, then I'd still take it. But I've seen in the past that opinion from a lot of Australian cricketers is not objective. I'm not painting everyone with the same brush, but majority of them, it's not objective. I think most of the time it's done to put pressure on the opposition. So which is why I like this fiery take from Gautam Gambhir. And again, going back to what Mr. Gavaskar said, he said, nobody asked me from Australian media who should open, there is a problem in the opening, who should be doing this, who should be the bowler, is Stark, and Cummins got hit for runs in ODI, is that form a concern? Nobody asks us that, right? But we are very interested in what Australian cricketers are doing. So that I agree, that
it is Gautam Gambhir doing Gautam Gambhir things.
But should. You need to
yeah.
pay them back in the same coin, and that's what he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, next on, this is the important bit.
Yes.
This is something, because as you know, there was a lot of reports doing the round that the future of Gautam Gambhir as coach is uncertain. If you don't do well in BGT, then he will not continue as test coach. He'll only be the white ball coach, so on and so forth. So he was asked this question, that a lot of speculation on social media about your future as coach, criticism is coming your way. What do you have to say to it? Once again, Gautam did not disappoint us in being Gautam.
Yes.
Fiery as usual. He says, what difference does it make on social media or anything? or what people say.
What
right?
people say, yeah.
When I took up this job, I felt it was a difficult and prestigious job. I am not feeling the heat. It is an absolute honor to coach India. Now, what is this? This is him putting up a brave front. He's feeling the heat, or
Of course.
this is just Gauti being Gauti?
See, the social media quip is nothing new. He said that we don't make our 11s and we don't select the team based on social media opinions.
In fact, he made a pointed another thing out, just to not in reply to this question, but just to reiterate this point about what happens in social media. He was asked about Washington Sundar, and
you
he
guys
said, you guys only criticized him on. You also wrote on social media and mainstream
Correct,
media.
yes.
Arey Washi, he's right. I was one of them who put a tweet out. But that was, see, again, you're happy to be proven wrong. You're not all the time correct, right? You make mistakes. You look at, and it's, I mean, it's better to stick your neck out before the event has happened. After the event, though, all of us are wiser. We cannot. But that thing, I felt Kuldeep was a better option than Washi. And of course, Washi proved all of us wrong.
All of us,
I think he's a much improved bowler. And, his batting I always love.
Yeah.
As a bowler, did not rate it. But good call on Indian team on that front. But they also made a lot of mistakes in the series for which they are under criticism.
Let us look at all these quotes once January 7th ends. Because after January 7th, whatever is now, Gambhir is gotten 3 months to prove all the detractors wrong. Yes, it's not been an ideal start to him. Lost ODI series versus Sri Lanka after 27 years. Unfortunately, now is the first coach to be whitewashed at home in India. He's got 3 months to redeem. And if India can do the unthinkable, win about 4 tests, qualify for the WTC final, and if you do well, supposing if he has a 2-1 result in Australia, if he wins 2-1, but they don't qualify for a WTC, I think he will continue as the coach. He will continue. So. But then if it's a disaster, then those comments will be taken in a different context altogether.
I like what he said about BGT as well, in the sense that, he said,
it is just WTC,
you can't be thinking of. And I think the Indian team in the position that they are, I'm not saying that it's a blessing in disguise because you didn't want to lose New Zealand, but if you're only looking at a silver lining, the silver lining is that now that you lost that series and you're so far behind in the WTC race now that it's all but done. That way you can now just concentrate on BGT. Yes. Had that WTC scenario been there, then you're also thinking, I can win 3 test matches or, do this, and then you're looking at WTC. Now you're so far back in the WTC race, you said, okay, forget that. Just go win BGT. After that, by some stroke of luck, you still qualify. That's another matter. So I think the only silver lining of losing that New Zealand series is, and there is really that minute, silver lining that I'm looking at, is that now you just concentrate on BGT, and he said that.
Yes.
I think BGT per se is such an important series now for both India and Australia that itself is a defining thing. WTC, you make it, not make it, is just separate. And he mentions that we'll just look at this series, not looking at WTC at all.
Absolutely. I think now Gambhir has got 2 months to prove that yes, whatever I am doing is correct. But if it's a disaster in the BGT, which we are all fearing because this current Indian team is not giving us that much of confidence, especially the batters, then I think those statements will have to be revisited, and that review, so-called review, which he didn't say anything in the PC about that, I think it will come true.
Just going back to his comment about him not feeling the heat. See, I mean, that he's under pressure, he knows, right? He's taken up a job he would have wanted to have done well, which is fair. But I guess being a professional cricketer, the one advantage that you have is that because as a player also he's seen the ups and downs, he's been dropped, he's made a comeback, all of that. So it's not unfamiliar territory. So he's in a place where he has seen, you go high, you go down, you are shunned, you sometimes come back, and that happens in coaching as well. So I think that will allow him to deal with this situation better. I also like the fact that he came and addressed the thing, took all the questions, answered them the way he does. And as I said, a lot of times where he's talking about, I felt that the fact that he says that what difference does it make in what people say on social media and what is being reported is that he's also hinting at that a lot of reports that may have been there could have been a bit more exaggerated than they really are. Like, there's reports that suggested that the ultimatum has come, that you do well in BGT, you carry on, if you don't, we'll sack you. I think that BCCI has never been in the place to have done this sort of a thing. I doubt it. that this sort of targets or ultimatums are given. Yes, you can part ways with coach, but it usually happens after an event is done. Not before an event, you're not given a target, and especially with the caliber and the stature with which Gautam comes. I highly doubted that someone in the BCCI would have said, hey, listen, especially knowing how this current BCCI regime is functioning, I don't think they would have given him a diktat as such. Yes, even Gautam may know that if you have consistent bad performances, then you have a review and you say, no, let's move on. But that's a decision taken post the event. I don't think these ultimatums are given before an event. Hey, and that is exactly how it was being reported. And just as he mentioned to a lot of things, I think he kind of gave us an indication that a lot of things that were written and said could have been slightly exaggerated.
But looking at the way how
not to say that the review meeting did not happen and that it did not last 6 hours, and it's not that post-mortem wasn't done, but all the things that come out of it is half-truths.
But looking at the way how he answered, did you think that he kind of is feeling the pressure, or do you think it was typical Gautam?
No. You see, again, with him, it's very tough to know. Even if he won the series, he'd be in the same mood, right? How would you know that whether he's feel? I don't know. And as I said, I don't think throughout his career he would have been in a phase where he's never felt the pressure, even as a player or as a coach. Where do you be in a situation where you're not in pressure? I guess it's familiar territory. Been there, done that.
Yes, steely resolve. That's there.
No, majority, not just him. I guess majority of the players who come up to that situation have been there and done that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we'll take a quick comments before we wind up. Siddharth says, I feel Indian team obscures mediocre batting by playing for team. I think Test cricket is played individually in team environment. Stats and numbers contribute to the team success. Yeah, valid point on that. Then there is anything on BCCI review? No, did not address the review meeting. There was no question directly asked about review meeting, but that question, was there about him feeling the pressure in reports in social media, which is a sort of a indirect way of asking him that, to which he did reply. Asad is asking, surprises in Nikhil Bhai too early in the morning. And are you following Barca regularly? Yes, I have. It wasn't a great night last night with the loss. But it was a big day. So we thought come early. So we'll have more videos coming up. But this is just summing up what had happened in the press conference. And through the day, dugout coming away at 6:15, where we'll discuss this issue and more things a little later. We'll also keep you abreast with the India-Pakistan situation. Few videos coming up on that as well.
Yep.
For the moment, from Siddharth and I, take care. Bye-bye.
We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.